The students become the teachers in this episode of Live, Love, and Marry Wizerr. Welcome to another episode of Live, Love, and Marry Wizerr, where our mission is in our name. Proverbs 4:7 says, wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding. Today, we are going to learn from some of our young ladies about what's going on in the dating scene, and we're going to get some really great tips. We were kind of awestruck by some of the stuff that we learned. The episode is not going to be live. We're live right now, but they're young, so they have school. And so we recorded an episode yesterday, and we're going to play that for you today. And we are excited about it. And we have some very special guests who are part of that conversation. Onetia, how are you doing today?
Doing good, sis. Doing good. So happy to see your beautiful face. Glad we're able to go live and share this information. And so excited about tonight's episode.
Me too. I'm very excited. And apparently I'm in the same place that Winston was last week. Indeed. Undisclosed location. But I'm excited to be here. So this is a really, really great episode. So we don't want to spend a lot of time, but I do want to share a little bit of an update. So you all, if you were watching last week, you know that Onetia called me out a little bit for not being where men actually are and not going out and doing the things. So I have committed to by next week to do that. But I actually went ahead, Onetia, and did something else different. I have an Instagram account, but it's like a business account for a single mission, and I do all the stuff there. But I actually started a personal Instagram account, Ms.Lorraine Leslie, if you want to follow me. And it's just going to be about me, putting myself out there into the world. I took some nice pictures. My friend Sherry Lynn is a photographer. One of the many things that she does. And we took some pictures on Sabbath when I was looking pretty hot, if I do say so myself.
Yes.
And I put it out there. So I am taking some steps in the right direction.
Awesome. That's awesome. It's not only outside. Well, I already let you know, I'm already following Lorraine. Y'all need to get on board and go follow her too. Share with your single cousins and them. Christian men, please.
Christian men only need to apply. I'm actually put that Instagram in the chat. So, hey, if you want to follow me, and I'll be posting more things on there as time goes on, but it's all going to be about me and my exploits and just my personal journey. So thank you for pushing me in the right direction.
Yes.
Not that I didn't want to go there. Just, you let yourself get busy and then just things get away from you. So, hey, Dagaman girl and Katie, nice to have you here with us. Go ahead and share this. Tell people to join. We're going to have a great conversation. And we are going to have a great conversation with the daughters of our co-host. Now, I'm not me, but Onetia and Ebony. So this is Taylor Hall and Amaris Wilkins. You will recognize the names. That Amaris is Ebony's daughter, and Taylor is Onita's daughter. Taylor's 18, and Amaris is 20. And we wanted to talk to them about what the situation is in dating with as a young person, because we've talked to a lot of the more senior of us. And I think there's some similarities, but obviously there are some things that are a lot different when you're younger or versus when you're 40 or 50 years old, or more. And so we wanted to hear their perspective on what was going on. So we're going to play that episode for you now. And it's it was a great conversation, and I hope that you take time to watch it. It was really good.
Yes.
And we will come
Comment
back
along.
and just close
Comment
it.
in the chat.
Yes, comment in the chat. Talk to us. We'll be in the chat because we've already seen it. So we're gonna be in the chat talking, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about it. See you in a little bit.
I put 18 and 20. You're 18, right, Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll start with you, Amaris, since you probably started dating a little bit sooner than Taylor. So how would you, just a general overview. We're going to get into the nitty gritty on some other questions, but just kind of like what has been your experience?
If I had to use one word to sum up all of my experiences with dating and stuff, I would definitely say immature. For I think that can sum up all of them. My parents officially allowed me to have a boyfriend when I was 16. And it wasn't like 16 I started dating and meeting people. It was 16. There was a guy I already was talking to that I was like madly in love with. And that day I could officially call him my boyfriend. I haven't really been in a whole bunch of serious relationships. I've only been in 2 serious relationships. So I introduced my parents to them and stuff. But I have been through a lot more situationships, as more people my age call it, where I have talked to a guy and he pursued me, and I kind of was getting to know each other, and then something happened and we fell off.
Okay.
That's how I would describe them: immature and underdeveloped.
Okay, I'm going to go to Taylor, and then I'm going to come back for an official explanation of situationship.
Okay.
Taylor, talk to me.
I guess if I could sum it up in one word, I would say confusion. I guess for my parents too, it was 16. We want to put a number on it. But that was more group dating. My mom made that very clear that if I was going to start dating and I was 16, it was going to be group dating. We can all go on a big double date or whatever and go to bowling or an amusement park, whatever the movies, or something that we could break off and individually talk to each other. But even then, it's I didn't really. There was no one that I was really interested in, and even that, the one guy I guess I could say I got interested in, he basically what he wanted me to do was ask him out, and I made it very clear that I wasn't going to. So I guess when I turned 17 and senior year came, I was in so many different plays. I barely had classes because I had basically taken them all. I literally had 4 classes, so I was getting out 10, 20 every day. I would just go home. And then I had told him, proms came, and he was acting like he couldn't ask me, but we would spend the whole night together. And I told him, I'm going to Oakwood. I'll be in Alabama, so I'm not going to start dating someone and make it serious once this month comes. And we get to the last week of school, and he's like, I've liked you this entire year, and I want to go out with you. And I was like, yeah, buddy, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But of course, as is Amaris,
yeah.
Amaris. As you said, the situationships, yes, I've talked to people, and it's gotten to the point where okay, I like him, and he's starting to pursue me, and then some red flags come or something happens, and now I'm not talking to you anymore. I'm going to act like I don't know you. But yes, I could say confusion is a pretty good word to use.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so now you both have officially used that word, situationships. Obviously, we've heard of that. But what does that mean, Amaris? What is a situationship?
Well, I think Taylor and I, we're not that far apart in years. I'm 20 and you're 18, so I think it's kind of all the same
Yeah.
definition. I think it was just like a general meeting for what a lot of us females have felt when it comes to like the process of getting into a relationship. I haven't heard any men say I'm in a situationship. That it's just us females saying it. So this is probably like a term that was like coined maybe a middle school, so
Mm,
2018, like that. And there was like stages to being in a relationship. There was meeting, and you guys just got to know each other. And
yeah.
then once you both said that you had feelings for each other, you were talking and seeing if you could be in a relationship. That stage was specifically called talking. Like
Yeah.
we're talking. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
And then after you guys are talking, then being like a committed boyfriend girlfriend relationship. But before boyfriend and girlfriend, which that title was extremely important. It was just talking. So I feel like a situationship is when you're at that talking stage, and specifically like when the girls are ready to move on from the talking stage and the guys are dragging it on. That's because it's hard because just for me personally, a situationship, like rejection from a situationship, is more hurtful than like a actual like relationship, because you're giving your time to someone and then the whole time you're like, nah, I'm not really feeling into it. Guys always say, I need to work on myself. I need some space. I'm not ready for a relationship, which sometimes is true,
Mm.
but we've been talking all day for
Right.
3 months straight. When were you going to tell me that you didn't want to be
Yep.
with me? That's
Right.
kind of
Why
how I was
why
feeling.
start anything if you're not ready for everything?
Exactly.
Right.
We're not talking about marriage at you all's age, but it's like if you're literally not ready to have a girlfriend, then don't talk to anybody.
Mm.
Yes, 100%.
Taylor, is that how you understand situationship too?
Most definitely, I agree with everything she said. I know situationships for me. When I'm talking to my girlfriends, we're like sitting in the lobby of our dorm, and either we'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm talking to this person," or like we're in a situationship together, and it's because the campus is so small.
Yes.
It's so easy to find out that so many of us are in a situationship or talking to the same person. Like there's not many people that you can't be like, oh, I'm talking to him, and you can find somebody that'd be like, oh, I'm talking to him too. And I feel like us for women, we take the situationship, that part right there, we take it so seriously, and these
Yes.
men are
Yeah.
out here and they're just like, nah, we're just talking, we're just cool.
Yes,
Chilling.
100%, girl.
And we take it so serious, but like there's no label on it. Like he's not our boyfriend. We didn't get to that part, and we'll be in, like you said, we'll be in that part for months, and then he could be like, I'm not ready, but then go give himself to somebody else and ask
Mhm.
that'll be his girlfriend, and then we'll just sit here and be like, but like we did everything together. We did the dates, we talked.
Mhm.
You're doing the same thing you did with her, but you gave her the title instead of me.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. That is so I mean, that's like hearing you say that is so powerful because you all may not realize this, but there are women who are 30, 40, 50 years old who are still in situationships. They didn't waste a couple of weeks or some months. They wasted years
Yes.
waiting for this guy who is not going to marry you. He is not. Like, he absolutely is not going to marry you.
Mhm.
And unless he gets sick and he needs someone to take care of him, that's when he might marry you. But other than that, you're still a situationship. You don't have no label, but you've given him all of the benefits. And by the time you spent years with it, you know, people are generally given all the benefits of being a wife, but not having the title. Onita, talk to me.
Girl, that, I mean, we didn't have that word, and I would like to say, I think, even right now, Taylor can attest to this. My son BJ, who's 5, he's playing with a toy, and then you walk by with a new toy, and he's like, "Ooh, new toy." And I
Mhm.
feel like for some of these boys and men, it's unfortunately what they do sometimes. It's just that I have this pretty shiny thing. There's this thing called NRE, new relationship energy, in
Mhm.
psychology, where some people they get off on that NRE, like they are just, oh, I
Yeah.
love a new person. They're excited. They're all into you. They're love bombing, or all these things are great, and then they're ghosting you, or they're no longer making themselves available, and it's sad
Mhm.
because again we live in such a detachment promotion environment now where people are quick to be like, I'm gonna cut you off, I'm gonna do me, I'm fine just doing me over here, where people are, one, afraid to commit because of fear of rejection, two, they have been hurt so much, and so they no longer want to be vulnerable, and then three, there's this new thing we just learned about called breadcrumbing, where it seems like
Mhm.
that's what some of these guys are doing. They
Yeah.
are making these small, giving these small amounts of doses of attention and
Mhm.
love with no real intent on ever pursuing, like committing to the relationship.
Wow.
Breadcrumbing. I love bread. Never knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard this term, but I did not know what it meant. I hadn't taken the time to look it up. So obviously we are familiar with that.
Yeah.
Amaris, when Onetia mentioned love bombing, you got this smile on your face. So it kind of made me think, okay, you might have some experience with this.
Yeah. Yeah. I was hoping you would call me.
Tell the audience what it is, and then talk to us about what you want to share.
So, you know who, like, the person that I've been, like, in love with for a really long time. Just a little backstory. We have known each other since 5th grade, and we've been, like, off and on kind of boyfriend, girlfriend since 5th grade. And we have started to, like, officially have a relationship in high school. And the last time that we dated was it last year? Honestly, I can't remember. I think it was last year. But, he had a lot of issues being unfaithful. So we had officially, like, legitimately dated twice, and he cheated on me both times, and that was the downfall of our relationship. And his birthday was in May, and he turned 21. And I wished him a happy birthday, and we kind of just started talking and hanging out because before we were boyfriend and girlfriend, we were the best of friends. We were best friends. And for the first time, he admitted to me that he cannot be loyal because he wants options, as he said. And we were just kind of casually talking, and he slipped up and he said, I love options. Like, you're my number one option.
Mm.
And I was like, mind you, I kid you not, I have been in love with this boy for easily 11 years.
Mm.
And I was like, huh. And he tried to backtrack and stuff, but I was like, that's exactly what you meant, and that's exactly how you treat me. And he gets off on finding someone else, some new pretty girl that doesn't know how he really is, interested in him and wants to give him all this attention and make him feel so good about himself. And then once they start being comfortable and the girl wants to have a relationship, he's like, nah, I'm just here for the fun of it, to be honest. And so that's kind of what I'm going through right now. That's what I'm going through.
Okay, Taylor. So what is do you have any experience with this breadcrumbing? Talk about that a little bit. Or maybe your friends or just people that you know.
I think for me, if I've had a situation like this, it was probably my freshman year, and I liked this one guy. Well, I had no business liking because he was like a junior. I should have talked to him anyways, and he was on the football team. So everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, he's a football player." He never played. He rode the bench. And had my dad take my sister and I to a game one time, and my dad never let me live that down because they never put the boy in the game. He was like, my daughter likes bench warmers. He never let me live it down. But he would, of course, me thinking that our talking and our situationship is bigger than it is. I'm thinking I'm living the best high school dream, like High School Musical lifestyle and everything. And like I can laugh about it now, but it was so sad. Like I remember at school, like he would walk me to my locker, or we would be talking or sitting with each other at lunch, and I'm thinking like, oh, we're together, but he never said we were together.
Mhm.
In my head, like, oh, we're doing all this stuff that I see
Right.
other couples, real couples doing, so we're together. Until then, people were coming up to me and telling me like, oh, he's dating his best friend.
Mhm.
He's with her. He was with her. To me, he was telling me a whole different thing.
Wow.
Till the day that I actually saw them like kiss each other, like at school, right by my locker. I never
Mhm.
used that locker again. I just carried everything in my backpack, but they dated. He made her his number one option, and they dated the entire year. And then when school ended and they broke up, this is when like COVID started. I was about to go. Actually, I don't know if I told my mom this, but I was about to go into my sophomore year.
This is good.
He finally, and sophomore year, I stayed home like the entire year because it was COVID. So I never went to school. But the thing was, a couple weeks right before school started, and he had texted me. Now, this boy, first of all, he always texted off an iPad because he didn't have a real phone number. He just had his
Ooh.
iCloud email. That was
Oh.
shouldn't have been talking. Anyways, a number texted me asking like just texting me and kept calling me. So I finally answered, and it was him. And I was like, "Oh, what's up?" And he was like, "Yeah, we should hang out. I can like drive to your neighborhood and we can hang out." At that moment, I blocked him. I haven't talked or seen him since.
Good for you. Good for you.
Took a while though. Like I spent the rest of the year like being so upset that he's giving her the time of day. He's putting the labels. He's doing a couple things, and that's what I wanted. And you treated me like I was basically like nothing.
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I want to talk about maybe how did you let's go back in time and just talk about how did you learn about relationships? When did that start? Did you have conversations with your parents, or like talk to me about just kind of your foundation and what you learned about being in a relationship? I'll start with you, Taylor.
So I'm pretty sure. I guess my want for a relationship probably started when I was a young girl, and not like, oh, I need to be in one, but like watching Disney Channel and all the relationships.
Yeah.
That's what started as a little
That
girl.
makes it feel like something you gotta have.
Yeah,
Right.
or Disney movies, all the princesses finding their like Prince Charming and their true loves. I guess that's what started it. And as I got older, I know seeing all my friends around me or all the people around me be in relationships and me not being in one always used to be like, it used to like hurt. And I would I'd be upset with my parents, of course, because I'd be like, they're not letting me date. I was 11. I had no business. Anyways, so but I think once I started getting to high school, I think that's when it kind of changed. And I feel like I would have dated more in high school if COVID had not happened. But once I came out of COVID, it took me a while to like get back to how I usually was. Like I was never an introverted person. I was a very extroverted person. I was always outspoken. I was always I was always their child that could just walk up to anybody and be like, "Hi, how are you doing?" And it's like once I came out of COVID, I didn't want to talk to nobody. Being at school felt like so much and I just got sick so much that I missed so many days of school my junior year, and I was just at home. But I think I finally started taking dating like seriously like senior year, and I was actually open to it. Like my mom had already told me, she was like, "Vic, I don't want her first relationship to be when she starts college. Like I want her to have a relationship at home so we can be around."
Mhm.
And it never happened because by senior year I was like, I don't want to date nobody. I'm not interested in it. I did so many other activities and the year just flew by. By graduation, I was like, well, I'm leaving, so I'm not, interested in it anymore. But I know my parents and I talk a lot about relationships. They give me a lot of good advice. So I know whenever I need advice on something, I can go to them. I can listen to their stories about how My mother did not like him when she met him, but 24 years later, they're still together. So hearing them talk, their talks about when they first started dating, what they wanted, and front, and like we're not having sex until we're married and stuff like that. And I feel like that's always a really hard talk to have with somebody, especially in our generation now. It's a really hard talk to have with somebody because you can be like, well, as a Christian, this is what I believe, and they'll be like, well, I'm a Christian too, so and I've done it, so I don't really see why you feel the need to say that. And then that's when you got to be like, oh, so I won't be talking no more because validate my feelings and how I feel, my opinion on things, and what I believe in. Just because, yes, you might be a Christian, but you don't exactly believe what I believe in.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think that ties back to what Amaris said, that at the beginning, that a lot of the challenges in the relationship is just a different faith. And it's not always a different denomination, but it's about what you think and how you think about what God wants you to do or not do, and live and not live, and how relationships should go. That can be the problem. So, Amaris, what about your foundation in relationships and conversations with your parents and all of that?
I definitely know from a young age my like biggest desire in life was to get married and to have a whole bunch of kids. And I think that I learned how to be a girlfriend from watching my parents. From a very young age, my mom was teaching me how to be a virtuous woman. And that was something that I had always worked towards. And then, so when I started dating at 16, I was giving the wife treatment to someone who was only thinking about one thing at that time. If one thing is, I was ready to cook, I was ready to clean, I was ready to wash clothes, I was ready to give the wife treatment and be the woman that I saw my mom being to my dad. And then I had to realize, oh, he's 16. There's only one thing that he's thinking about. He's not thinking about putting a ring on my finger. So I had a lot of good role models in my family. My parents, like most marriages, had some difficulties, but I never saw them as a child. I always just saw them as two people that were completely in love with each other and had no issues at all. And I'm grateful for them kind of shading my view to that so I could see how great marriage can be. And that's that 100%. They're the reason that I have wanted to get married and meet someone and have kids because of how happy my parents are together.
That's beautiful.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk about. Well, Onetia, I want to ask you because if y'all hadn't caught on, Onetia is Taylor's mom. And by the way, Ebony, who our other host, is Amaris's mother.
Yes.
This is all in the family right now, and I'm Amaris's auntie. So, Onetia, what was your hot like? And Victor has also been on the program. So
Yes.
it's definitely a family affair, and we know that he always brings the heat. But what was you all's conversation, you and Victor's conversation around how you would teach your daughters, your children, well, then you had the son, so your children about relationships and love and sex and all of that? Was that like conversation, or did it just happen? She's the oldest. Oh, like we just stumble into this. Well, talk to me about that.
It's like 70-30 you have to stumble into, but but no, we definitely had conversation. It's funny because at one point, I mean, this is when Taylor was young, like 2 or 3. Victor be like, "No boys," and I'm like, "Vic, wait a minute. She doesn't even. She's not looking at boys like that because, like she said, the child we couldn't even. She knew no stranger. She talked to everybody. She was hi to everybody, and so." One day, and I think maybe because her daycare class too was only her and one other girl and then 8 boys. But, you know, he initially just being a protective dad was like, no boys. And I was like, pause. We don't want her to start thinking there's a problem there because just like most people, if you know that's a no-no, it's like, oh, let me think about this boy.
Or that.
Like, what is that? And it was so funny because he said no boys, and then finally she went to like her godfather Kevin, and she was like, "Is he a boy?" And Victor said yes. She goes, "And Daddy, you're a boy?" And he said yes. She goes, I can talk to boys. Like, this makes sense. I was like, just kind of simmer down, Dad. The time will come when we need to have these conversations. But we both agreed that a lot of the secrecy that happened in our parents, like things we saw, they did not actually come out with intention and say
Right.
some of the positives about relationship. My mom was quick to just don't have sex, you'll get pregnant and ruin your life. That was all I heard. Like, I did not hear about relationships and what to do and what your values are. But I'm a person that typically learns from watching and seeing other people's stuff, and then go, oh, I want that. Nope, I don't want that. And so we made a point to say, okay, we're going to have the conversations. And I tried to be as open with Taylor and try to not let my face react when I would listen to some of the stuff she would tell me about her friends or what may have happened. And I try to be kind of like girlfriend, like, what? No. Versus I know her dad would be straight militant, like, nope, cut that person off. Nope, don't do this. Nope, don't talk to that. So I tried to be the balance of the two. He's definitely going to keep it straight 100 and say these are boys' intentions. You know, scientifically, every 3 seconds at this age, they're thinking about sex in some type of way. So, like, boom, 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 here's the reality. And then I'm over here trying to be a little bit more, not condemnation of all these things, but actually saying, you know, God intended for sex to be a beautiful thing. And he intended for it to bring two people together, husband and wife. And just being honest with how we were told kind of like, this is a nasty thing, doesn't feel good, don't do it. And then once people experienced it, they're like, oh,
it was fantastic.
And I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to pray and ask God to forgive me, and I'm going to do it again. I'm trying to balance out the fact that God intended for this to be a thing to bring two people together, a husband and wife. And so when the time comes, you want to share this with that person who's made an emotional and mental commitment to you before the physical. Because even a hand touch, like Taylor and I talked about this, even touching a boy's hand that you're interested in or hugging him, it just, your chemistry, like we just get so emotional and mushy. And like she said, sometimes it means way more for us than them. And so I'm like, you see what a hand holding or a hug can do? Just imagine when you go to that next level and here's a person who's not even made that commitment to you, and what that does to us emotionally when you got somebody who really was just breadcrumbing, who no longer is really interested. And so I try to be open with the conversations. I do share examples, personal examples of I would say good things and bad things, decisions we've made. And Taylor sometimes will ask, why is this person, like an older adult, with this guy, or why does this person keep going through this? And I share examples of, unfortunately, sometimes they put the physical way before the mental and the emotional connection. And unfortunately, that physical kept being the driving force of staying together. And a lot of times, it's like welding iron. I've heard a pastor one time said it's like welding iron together. You heat it up and you put it together. It's hard to kind of break that away, that soul tie. And so learn from their mistakes. Yeah, learn from what happened and what may have transpired in that person's relationship. And ask for the Holy Spirit to help you discern and make better choices so that you won't get so connected emotionally to this person that God didn't intend for you to be with. So that was a long way of saying what I had to say, but y'all get the gist.
So I just posted something on my Instagram that said don't ignore red flags. They're there to help you trust your instincts and protect your heart. So what skills have you learned? What has someone taught you, or have you ignored red flags? Have you seen them and been like, oh, maybe they're pink, maybe that's not red, maybe, or what have you learned about even making those kinds of assessments for someone that you're thinking about dating or that you're observing? Amaris, I'll start with you.
I think that definitely recognizing red flags and taking them seriously is something that I began to do, unfortunately, after my first like real relationship failed, and there was little stuff that I let go just because I was like, it's our first relationship, there's going to be bumps in the road. I think that's something I always told myself, that relationships have bumps in the road. Cheating is not a bump in the road. Really,
Train wreck.
right, really pay attention to. And my mom told me at a very like beginning of me being a teenager, when it came to boys and stuff, once you start, it's very, very, very hard to stop. And I had no idea what she was talking about until I learned the lesson the hard way, by ignoring red flags, ignoring what I feel deep down inside, and then being hurt later, and then after being hurt, making the same mistakes. So I think that red flags has a negative connotation, but I think people think sometimes that red flags are permanent, but depending on how serious you are with that person and how much that person is open-minded and wants to be with you, I think sometimes red flags can be a topic of discussion, and they don't always have to be the deal breaker in like a new buddy.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Taylor, what are your thoughts about that?
I feel like for me, when I start talking to somebody I think I like, or want to, go further with them, my parents always find the red flags before I do.
Oh yes.
Talking, I'll
Yeah.
just be talking about this guy. My mom would be like, no, right there, you need to cut him off right now. She'd be like, so you don't know where he was then, and you don't know where he was now, or you don't know this or that. Like, or my dad would be like, if he doesn't live in a 2-parent household, you need to let him go.
Oh my goodness, you sound like my dad. That is my dad.
Dad, I can't decide that, okay? I can't decide if he was, lived his whole life in a
Eliminated like
household.
900 million people.
Exactly.
Like, if
Yeah.
he doesn't have a dad in his house, he won't respect a man, which means he won't respect me, which means he can't be here. And I'm like, Dad, I can't decide if someone doesn't have a dad or a mom in their house, or if this guy just lives with his mom and his grandma. I can't decide that. But I know for me, sometimes it's really hard for me to let people go, whether that's like a guy or a friend. Because I never want to be that person that hurts somebody, and especially if we're really close, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to let them go, especially if they're hurting. But I've had to learn that even if they're hurting me as well in their hurt, I have to let them go. And it takes me a while. Definitely took me a while, and a lot of conversation with my parents, because my dad's always telling me, like, you have to look out for yourself, especially as an adult now, and me being like different time zones away in college, that nobody's gonna look out for me like my parents did. Like, I'm by myself. I have to look out for myself, and I have to keep these red flags away from myself, and I have to not ignore them. Like Amaris said, though, they're not always going to be like, it's a red flag since he was born and he's going to have it till the day he dies. But like, of course, cheating. You cheat once, I'm gone. There is no, I won't do it again. Or it was an accident. I was drunk. I was high. People always tell me drunk thoughts and drunk words are sober thoughts. Like, you've been wanting to do this. You've been thinking about this. If you cheat on me, I can't go back.
Yeah.
Probably when I was younger, if I really liked that person, I probably been like, he didn't mean it. But now I just know for me, and just seeing other people, I don't want to be that person that's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she went back to him and I do it myself.
Yeah.
Wow. Drunk thoughts and drunk words are sober thoughts. And so that is some good stuff, because the alcohol just gives you the courage to say what you were thinking and do what you were already wanting to do. Girl, y'all bringing some heat.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, your mother was like,
when Amaris was like, talk about the red flags, I was like, I ain't never thought about that. Talk about the red flags.
Yeah.
So Amaris brought up a good point, and I have a different definition of red flags than other people do. So how do you define red flags? Because sometimes how I define red flags are how other people define yellow flags. And so and that's okay, but I think it's important to know what you believe about that and how you define that. Because for me, a red flag in my personal, relationships and also what I teach, a red flag is something that though it can change, because we believe anything can change if surrender to the Holy Spirit, though it can change, it's not something that they typically will change on their own.
Yeah.
And when I define a yellow flag, it's something that I may not like it. It may be but it's something we can discuss and work through and talk through and even come to a compromise on that thing, because there's some things that someone's never going to change. And there's some things you're never going to change just because you don't want to. And you don't see it as a bad thing. It's just not necessarily their preferred thing. But no one is 100% of who you want, and you're not 100% of who anybody wants. So I think green and yellow are things that can be discussed. And well, obviously green is good, but yellow are things that can be discussed. Now, it may come to a point where it turns into a green flag, or it may come to a point where it turns into a red flag. But those are things that can be discussed. So how do you define, Amaris, and then I'm going to go to Taylor, a red flag when you're thinking about assessing or evaluating a potential partner?
I would define a red flag as a characteristic or behavior in a situationship or relationship that can be detrimental to your relationship, friendship, or any type of interaction with each other.
Okay.
I think that going through relationships and failing relationships, I've also learned what characteristics and behaviors are red flags. And I thought that it was, okay. Going back to the same guy that I have been convinced I'm in love with, after we broke up, he ended up dating the girl that he swore that I didn't have to worry about. And then he cheated on her with me. And I did not think that was a big deal at all until he cheated on me. And I said, Amaris, if he will cheat for you, he will cheat on you. Please, I'm not going to do it to someone else. And so I think a red flag is something that it can be detrimental to your relationship, but also something that you can't get out of your head. Like when you're in an argument,
come on,
when you are having a rough day, that red flag comes up, and a lot of times I see, this is what I'm talking about. You don't listen when I'm talking. And it goes back to that red flag. And I think that that red flag is also something that can be a main point in a lot of arguments. And if that red flag doesn't change, then the relationship isn't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's so good, because a lot of people, especially in a church context, we especially tell women, you shouldn't divorce and you need to stay and this and that and whatever. Somebody abusive and somebody cheating or whatever, you got to forgive and all this crap. But I just think that what you said is so important, because when someone has violated, cheating is so bad that even God is like, yes, you can divorce. Now, he wasn't talking about dating, but yes, you could. He would definitely say run if he dating. But it's so bad. It's so detrimental to the covenant that God is like, yeah, I understand if you can't forget that thing.
Yeah.
Eventually you forgive, because that's how God, but it doesn't mean you have to be in relationship with that person, because it's so detrimental to your thinking and your person. And so I think that's really powerful what you just said, that even if we try to forgive, it's like there's always this level of mistrust, or if they say something, they say they're supposed to be somewhere, but they're not. And then it's just like, oh, he's cheating. Oh, he's doing this or whatever. So, and we know women cheat too, but we're not talking to men. So we just don't refer to as men. But it's such an important point that I think that if we could just grab hold of that, because that thing isn't going away from your conscious, not even your subconscious. It's like something that's always on your mind. Taylor, talk to me about how you think about red flags and how you maybe define those.
I actually completely agree with what Amara said. And I also feel like for me, a red flag is something that's going to like affect me emotionally, mentally, physically. And I know for me, once, like she said, once you show me that red flag, I'm always going to continue to think about it. I'm going to continue to play that moment in my head when I learn about your red flag. And I feel like sometimes I just only think about red flags as like the biggest or baddest thing they could be like, automatically go, oh, well, cheating, red flag. If somebody ever asks me what a red flag is, but red flags can be small things too. Like lying is a big thing too, but I also feel like anger and having no patience, being unkind, lack of respect. Like there's all these different character traits that a person cannot have or a man cannot have that can be a red flag. And I think this was my mom was saying this or somebody was saying this the other day, but it's like, oh, somebody was saying that my brother, your brother is so respectful. The thing is, that's how he's being. I don't want to say trained, but that's what he's being taught in the South. That's how he's being raised. And if you don't, if you're not brought up in a household that teaches you to respect others, to be kind to others, to show gratitude and be thankful for what you have, or being kind, like. I know for me, one of my things to be in a relationship with somebody, one of the things that I want is for a man to respect his mother, to respect his family, because I know for me, I respect my mother, I respect my father, I respect my family, I love them. And I would never want to be with somebody who we get around their mother or their family for the first time and he's cussing her out or just shoving her off and acting like she doesn't matter. That's a red flag for me. And for some people, it's not a red flag for them. It might be a yellow flag for them because they'll be like, oh, maybe he has a bad relationship with his mother. But regardless of it, if you have a bad relationship with your mother, your father, anyone in your family, I never want you to be or get to the point where you feel like, oh, I can be disrespectful in front of Taylor and she'll just, brush me off or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to tolerate that. I don't like that, and I will drop you.
Yeah.
On your way.
The same thing is true if he will do it with you around, eventually he's gonna do it to you. Because there's a time when you upset him too, and then the next thing you know, you're gonna get cussed out. I tell this story all the time about this guy I was dating, and he was not the kind of person that I was ever gonna marry. But I, was just, he was, I was dating him. So like that. He did come to church with me a couple times. But one day we were driving in the car and I literally have no idea what we were talking about. But he yelled at me. And he yelled at me in a way that I knew he was going to hit me in a few weeks or a few months, or it was going to turn into. And so I was like, I noted in my spirit, because God has gifted me with the ability to kind of discern these types of things. I've been reading books since I was 9 years old on relationships and parenting and marriage and all of that stuff. And this is my passion. And so I was just like, oh, okay. So dude is going to hit me one day. And I ain't here for that.
Right.
So I didn't say anything. I just acted normal. We drove to wherever we were going. And then we went to his house and it was my car. And, or it might've been his car, but my car was at his house. So I was just like, oh, okay, I will see you, later or whatever. and I got in my car, and dude ain't seen me since. Like, it's been probably, it was when I first got to Richmond, so it's been 24 years. He saw me one time because he actually came to the Salvation Army, but I don't even think he realized it was me, but I realized it was him because it had been so long at that point. It had been probably 15, 17 years. And so, but I recognized him, but he didn't recognize, but I was just like, I don't need to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
I don't need you not to tell me. I don't need to tell you don't yell at me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need to do none of that because I know how this story is going to play out. So you already didn't know my address because I never did that. Like, I'll meet you somewhere, or I'll come.
Yes.
You ain't coming to my house. And so I think that we have to also be sensitive. There are things that can be discussed, and then there are things that don't need to be discussed. I don't even need to tell you I'm ending the relationship. There is no onus upon me to tell you that I'm breaking up with you. So that you can then what? Hit me? You know, like,
Right.
Like, I don't believe, I heard this quote. It said, you don't get closure, you decide it's closed. And I was just like, you better shut up. Because and I moved on. So we also have to be mindful of that. I want to ask a question about, do you know what kind of guy you want?
Oh my goodness. Oh goodness.
Who wants to go first?
Oh, whoever, it's fine. I know what I'm gonna say.
You had a couple more years to think about it. So
Yeah. My parents have both told me that I have a tendency to be attracted to men that are just like my dad, but not with all the qualities that my dad has. The boy, back again, the one I was in love with, he met my dad and they instantly hit it off. They were really close. We all went fishing together. Like, my dad was a really good role model for him. And it's a good thing. I didn't see it as a good thing then, but when he cheated on me, my dad explained his thought process from a man's perspective. And he did it to, one, enlighten me on how men can be, and to two, just validate me and remind me that it has nothing to do with me. So there's little stuff that my dad does for my mom that makes me think, I want a husband like that. When my mom is tired in the morning, he gets her favorite drink at Starbucks. Just a couple of days ago, I asked my dad for a couple of dollars for me to go get something, and he filled up, my wallet for me to get gas for the next 2 weeks. He's someone that reads body language and that really devotes their time to get to know someone so they can support them. And that's what I want in a husband. I don't want someone that I have to explain, when you did this, it hurt my feelings, and please don't do it again because this is how I feel. I want someone who knows me and is dedicated to knowing me well enough and just wants to grow together and, forever. I think I know my dad isn't one in a million. I know that there's people out there that are like my dad, but when I think of my dad and I think of how he treats me, I'm just like, man, whoever comes around is going to have some serious competition. My dad used to laugh at me, and he was like, you cut people off so quickly. And I'm like, you made my standard up here.
Right.
I was like, you go in the winter, you go out and you warm my car up for me. There's going to be some serious competition. So my dad and my grandfather have been role models of a man that I want, someone honest, loyal, dedicated, kind-hearted, hardworking. That's exactly what I want. I'm very blessed to be able to have a front row view of that role model, because some women don't have that, and so they just go out and pick whoever. But I know exactly who I want, and I know I'm not going to settle for anything less, because if my dad is out here doing it, I know somebody else can do it.
All right now.
Yes.
Okay, Taylor.
She took my answer out of my
Yeah, that's okay. That's
mouth. I know when I was little, I feel like every girl does this, but I know when I was little, I wanted to marry my dad.
Yes. Yeah.
Mom did that already, so I cut it. Love her, like, I'll see them being all lovey-dovey together, and me and my siblings might make faces, but I always think it's so cute when they could just, act like they're teenagers again or something, and they'll just be dying laughing or sitting on the couch laughing at Instagram videos. And I don't know, my dad's like the most hardworking man I know. He's so wise, and he's gonna see this, but he's always been like my Prince Charming. I don't tell him that enough, but he's always been my Prince Charming. I know that I can come to him for every and anything. I can come to him when I'm sad. I can come to him when I want to cry or anything like that. I can come to him. We can watch movies or we can talk for hours, but I'll still tell my mom anyways. I'll still be like, yeah, so I'm going out with my boyfriend, your husband, and we're going to the movies, and we'll take pictures together, and I'll be like, you see how he's smiling in this picture? He's all teeth for me, not you. But I just know my mom has told me this because I know there's like a couple guys that I've liked at school, and she'll be like, so why do you like them? And I'd be like, he makes me laugh and he's so smart and all these different things. And then I'll be like, oh my gosh, he's like my dad.
Yeah.
Like my dad. And between like him and like the uncles and grandpa that I do have, I just know like there's so many traits from all of them that I would want to fit into a man. Like if I could build my own husband, take so many.
we all want to.
I would take so many different traits from all of them. I know from my dad though, I would take so many traits out of him and put it into that man. And people might think like he'll get off of work. When I flew home for winter break, he had been at work all day. I think it was like a Friday, so he had been there 6 a.m. and we don't live like 20 minutes away. It has already been an hour drive. He's there from 6 a.m. to I think we got home maybe 10 o'clock that night, something like that. And he takes the train to get to the airport. Then we got to take the train back to walk back to his job. And then he has to drive us home. And by then there's traffic. So now it's like an hour and 30-minute drive home. And to some people, they'll probably just be like, okay, but he's your dad. He should do that. But I know there's some people that they don't talk to their parents at all. Like they all live together. I have friends that they live together with their parents and same age as me, but they don't talk. It's like they're literally like tenants. Like they're just renting their room. So it's like to see him do the stuff for me or my siblings or my mom and make us all happy. That's the type of man I would want. I would also want someone like Amaris said. I want someone that wants to take the time. I don't want okay, we've been talking and now you're like, I can't see myself with nobody. Just start love bombing me. I can't see myself with nobody else. I want to be with you. Or the people that say like, oh, I love you. Like, so that right there, then ask my mom. I will block people for that. When I literally told my mom, I'd be like, yo, mommy. She'd be like, what? She'd be like, did somebody say I love you? And I'd be like, yes.
I know that feeling. Like,
it's like I just met you. What are you?
Right.
You love me, but I want someone to actually take the time. And like, I know some people they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, we've been talking for like 3 months, and he still hasn't asked me out." Well, maybe it's because like, does the boy even know your middle name yet?
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I say that. Yes. I say that all the time. But do you know my middle name?
Right. I have to tell my friends that because it's like we'll be talking to people and they'll be like, he hasn't asked me out yet. Has he taken you on a date? Does he know your middle name? Does he know your parents' name? Does he know your siblings' name? Does he know that if this boy tries to do anything, my family will fly here right now and mess him up? No, he's not. Okay. So until he learns all the things about me and I learn all the things about him and start seeing those what we call red flags or him in a bad situation and seeing how he would act or any arguments, I'm not gonna date someone that I don't know.
No, that's good. I think that's so good. I think there's this mad rush to get to wherever they're going to get to. But it's like, it's okay to take time. You know, friendship is actually the first stage of a healthy relationship. And it's like, we're not dating, we're just friends. Just like I'm talking to you and getting you, and there's no schedule of that. You know, like, well, if you don't call me at this time, or if we don't text this much, it's like, no, because I don't do that with my friends. Like, when I feel like texting them, I do. And then a flurry of texts, you know, like hundreds. And then it's like, no, nothing for, a couple of days. So I think that, I think that's a very wise thing. Onetia, I'm going to ask you a question. Like, did you know what kind of man you wanted when you picked Victor, when you were dating, and what was that?
Yeah, I think I did. I think as these both ladies have shown too, sometimes it's not till you maybe gone through one bad thing does it maybe solidify more in your head. Okay, this is what I want, because there's this picture of what you think you want. There's the Mr. Right Now. He needs to look like, there was Steve Urkel, and then there's Stefan Urkel. But like, you wanted that. Y'all probably know these people. There was the Albie Shores when light skinned brothers were back in style back in the day. Light skinned, bow legged, drove a certain car, like stupid stuff that And guess what? They dated everybody. They wanted everybody because they could get them everybody. But I did know my dad, my dad, who was my stepdad who raised me, but I knew they had to be hardworking. My mom drilled in my head, but not that I saw that. Somebody who wants to be a provider. Not that I had to give them passion about, or, be like, do you want to get a job today? Or are you going to sit around and play PlayStation all day? Like, no. Somebody who definitely was going to be respectful. I knew that they had to respect their mom. That was something that I heard people say a lot more when I was growing up. I don't know if those type of conversations, I don't hear it often. I see a lot of my peers let their teenage and adult daughters, young adult daughters, they kind of leave them being like, oh, she's in the mood right now, or no. I'm like, we need to have these conversations. It's like, yes, dating may look different because you have more dating apps and you have social media, but it's still dating. We still need to make this foundational stuff. We still need to have the conversations, and I'm not seeing it as often. But I heard women say, hey, how does he respect this mom? What does he respect? How does he treat this mom? How does he treat this grandmother? Does he have a job? Is he trustworthy? Does he have any type of discipline or self-control? And so those are some things I definitely look for. And like you said, being a friend, I had witnessed and I seen friends of mine started to date and change their whole personality altogether. And, had to be only about the boy, and they were no longer themselves. And I was like, I don't want to be with nobody who mom will lose my whole mind like that. Like, I can't be me no more. So I knew too that this person has to be a friend. Like, it got to be somebody I can get along with. We can I
like being around,
right?
Like, we have fun together,
right?
And
we gotta have fun together. I mean, we crack jokes, and he got we got to be able to take it, and he can give you better be able to take it. Thank God my husband can. But so I did kind of know. And I think I wanted to give just kudos to both of you young ladies being able to eloquently share that. I didn't know if I could put it into all those words at your age, but also the kudos and props to both your dads for setting a standard and a good example. And this is what God intended, because they are the head of our households and they are the protectors that we see. But also in the world today, when having a level of some type of standard for yourselves and values, either you're told, because Taylor had to deal with a lot of things sometimes when she does say, oh, I'm waiting till I'm married. You have people who, like you said, who were Christian, who were down on her, well, or either tried to throw the card up, you're judging me. And she's like, no, I'm not judging you because I'm having a standard for myself.
Right.
No, it's like,
right.
But this is what I have for myself. But I think it's so necessary, and we don't see it a lot. And I'm glad that we're able to, both of you, giving your dads flowers now, just by showing that they set an example for you of what a man should be, how a man should be in the home. And as you both said too, there's not perfection. None of us are perfect. As the wife nor the husband, but you got an example of, hey, here's a man I see being loving, being kind, doing these extra little things to show that they care, not just paying the bills, and just saying I do, but going above and beyond and taking to the extra care that they need to show that they do care for their family, that they love you, and then extending it past us. Because I will tell you, I've had some spaces where the mom was okay as long as the dad was all about them, and the mom just only dealt with the kids. They didn't require the dad to have to do much with the kids, or extend, and not require. Let me say that sometimes the men too, their role was, they only felt like the mom was being loved and y'all being fed, and that was it. And I do like that you both also have examples too where your dads have also shown you, hey, I'm going to go out, above and beyond for you. So any guy, when the father's coming down to pass you on to the next guy, he's basically saying, sir, this is the standard of living my daughter's been accustomed to. You need to do that and then some now, because that's what they're doing when they said, I'm giving here, I give you to this man. He has to be able to meet that standard and then some before so you guys do have some big shoes to follow. I'm glad they do. And I'm glad that you all are noticing red flags and recognizing there is a intuition, but also a spiritual discernment that God is putting you when you see these red flags. And what the nagging is, and I can tell you for me, that nagging is when you've let that boundary go and you've given in when you saw it. That's what that nagging. You keep thinking, you're like, oh, but because then
I think the Bible calls it the Holy Spirit.
The Holy Spirit. So now that boundaries, you let it down, and now you basically give them that rope to continue to do more and more stuff. So, recognize them. I only heard red flag. Y'all taught me something today about the yellow flags, because giving me more teaching.
Of course, that is going to be released shortly.
Awesome.
A coaching program that includes red, yellow, green, and I've done it before with some people. And the one of the women was like, "This should be a manual for every woman to have," because I go very specific on some stuff, because a lot of things that we think, there are some things that we think are green flags that are actually can be red flags. And I have a tip sheet. There's like 5 men never to date, and one of them is the nice guy. Everybody's like, oh, I want the nice guy. It's like, no, because nice, I don't want to get into a whole thing, but nice is, what does nice even mean? Like, when you think of somebody nice, it's because you have nothing else you can say about them. I gave you this. They're not intentional. They're not considerate. They're not thoughtful. They're just nice. They're just like not unpleasant to be around, but there's nothing significant about how they treat you, what they do, how they are intentional. And you want somebody who is intentional around how they treat you, with kindness and consideration and thoughtfulness and love and attention. And so, I can go on a whole thing, but I'm not going to do that, because I want to ask you all, and we're going to, probably try to wrap it up soon, but I got 1,000 more questions to ask you, because this conversation is fantastic.
Oh, it's spurring ideas in my mind. Like, I've already now have an event planned. We had to fly you up, Lorraine, before the summer's out. I just want to get together with these ladies, other moms, and their teenage young adult women, just to get together so we can eat and talk and have these conversations.
Come on, bring it on.
Yes.
I want to talk about, and you know what? Let me say this first, because Onetia, you said something in reference to the father giving the daughter to this man and what his expectations are. And this is something that I didn't articulate last week when we were talking about the financial part. And I was just like, no, he's paying for the date. No, whatever. And people probably was like, okay, what's wrong with, her? I do believe in that. Yeah. And I do believe in the husband being the provider. And so does God believe in that. But here, and I'm not saying you don't combine and you can do all that. That's not the point. It's like, who did God give that responsibility to? And so I was reminded about, just the dowry. That was the point of the dowry. If you
Mhm.
do not have one, you can't have her. And that's what Jacob was like. Oh, you just ran away from home because you were a scammer. You don't got nothing in which to take care of my daughter. And obviously he got scammed back, but like it's working. He had to work 7 years to earn something that he could then have to take care of this woman. Now,
Mhm.
often the dowry that's given to the parents is given back to the woman, the wife, once she becomes the wife. But it's for the father to see you can actually provide for my daughter in the way that I've been providing or better.
Mhm.
And so it's a legitimate thing to think about finances when you are dating a man. So let's talk about finances. How do you all approach like who pays for the date? Are y'all doing the 50-50 thing? Are you like, oh no, I'll pay for him or whatever, whatever. Talk to me. There's no judgment here. I'm just asking, you all's thoughts. Let's go, Amaris, you go ahead.
I do not expect the man to pay for every day. If he asks me, hey, can we go like see a movie? You want to go to dinner? Then I'm expecting that he pays just because he proposed to do it. But if I plan something, if I like construct a really nice date and it's kind of pricey, I'm not going to be like, here's the price and you got to pay for it. I'm not going to do that. And for the relationships that I have been in, when I've been open to paying like for a meal or something, most of the time the guy is really surprised. I'm not just eating up all his money. But I believe that, men are the providers. And as women, we can provide for that man and make them feel like, validated. I know this is hard-earned money. I know that you are committed to working and creating a foundation for your family. And for all the stuff that you do, I'm going to pay for dinner. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But really just the basic principle that if I ask you out on a date, I am going to pay for it. And it also makes me feel confident as a woman that I can provide for someone and that I can provide for myself. But I don't know. I do like paying for my date sometimes, like if I propose it. Like for back to this guy again. For his birthday, I paid for us to go to this really nice Brazilian dinner. And I felt so excited to pay for him just because I saw his reaction. And when he pulled out his card to pay, and I'm like, I got it. It's just his face lit up to he felt so appreciated and valued. And I like making, my partner feel that way.
Mm-hmm. All right. Taylor.
So, since my dating life is non-existent,
You can speak into the future.
right now, dating is not on my mind at all. But haven't been on a date yet. We'll see when it happens. Y'all won't be the first people to know. But I think for me, I know this has been like a big conversation with my parents and I. I'm perfectly fine with the 50-50. I'm perfectly fine with us going out somewhere and like say it's a fancy dinner, which I hope we don't do is like off the bat because I know for me, once I'm getting started to know you, I'm gonna run out of things to ask and we're just gonna stare right at each other and it's gonna get awkward. But I'm perfectly fine with the 50-50 if, like Amaris said, if he does propose a date or if I do propose a date, I'm perfectly fine with paying. And if he's one of those guys that's like really old school and he's like, no, like I asked you out, I'm going to pay for this one. Like I want to pay for the date. Then that's perfectly fine. He can do that too. I know my parents and I, we always talked about it because so many guys, they expect, especially in my generation, all generations actually, they expect that if I brought you out, I took you on this date, I paid for it, I'm expecting sex at the end of the night.
Mhm.
That's why I'm perfectly fine for the 50-50. Like, I'll pay for what I got, you pay for what you got. So then at the end of the night, you're not looking for, oh, so we're not going to have sex. No, we're not, homeboy. We're not.
Return on the favor.
You're going to go home and I'm going to go home and we're going to have a great night. But if I do plan a date, I have no problem paying. Like I've seen my parents pay for stuff, of course, my whole life. I see my mom pay for my dad. I see my dad pay for my mom. Like it's not really like a big deal to me. And I know a lot of people my age, the girls make it a big deal. They'll be like, yeah, he asked me on a date and he's the man, he should pay. Girl, that's not your husband. Like y'all can both pay for things. Y'all can both pay for things, especially if because I know for me, I want to be a doctor. I want to be an OBGYN. And I know that if say like he's a teacher or something, I know I'm gonna be making a lot more money than him. And there's no like judgment to that. I want to be a teacher. Like I said, if I didn't want to be a doctor, I wanted to be a teacher. But I know that they don't make as much money as they should. They definitely should be paid a lot more. So I know that for me, I would be making a lot more money than him. So that means I don't mind paying for if we go on a date. But I'm also not gonna make it feel like, oh, I make the most amount of money. Now I'm going to provide for you and I'm gonna be the only provider. Because then I know that's gonna eat away at his ego and pride. And that's of course not something I want. So I believe in the 50-50. I believe in like I can pay, he can pay. So I believe in all those options.
Okay. All right. So, when I was, if been watching, you know that I've been seeing a relationship coach, and we just like finished officially maybe about a month ago, I guess, and it was a great experience for me. I learned a lot, and one of the things that he talked about was kind of setting the standards up front of what you want. I had to do like a 90-day plan. So like what are the things that I need him to do in the first month? What are the things I need him to do by the second month or what in third month or whatever? And do you have any sort of, which you probably may not, you're still kind of young, but I'm just kind of dropping a seed. Do you have any sort of structure or things that you're just like, that you communicate to the person? I need this from any guy that I'm dating. Because one thing that he told me, he's like, guys actually really like that.
Yeah.
Guys who are just there to get their own fun, they're gonna go away because they're like, okay, no, I can't. Her standard's too high for me. And the guys who actually have standards, who are looking for something serious, that raises you in their viewpoint to like beyond the other girls. Just take whatever. But do you have some sort of things? There are things that you're just like, I just need you to know right off the bat, like this is important to me, and I'm not going to compromise on that. Taylor, we'll start with you.
Okay. I think if I was going to tell a guy this, because now that I am open to dating, it can be serious. I'm not looking for marriage right now, but it can.
We glad about that. I mean, like, your mother almost died over there.
It can be something serious, but I know I need him to know, like, right? Like, I don't know why people feel like they can just have sex and be getting other relationship, because then to me it feels like that's now what your relationship is based on. But I need him to understand that I'm not having sex with you. I know for myself, I'm waiting until marriage. And I also need him to know that I take my studies really seriously. Like I'm trying to graduate. I'm trying to then go to med school. I'm trying to become a doctor, get my MD and all that stuff. And I need him to understand that unless I feel like this is actually going somewhere, that school is over you, buddy. School is over you. I also need him to understand, and I also need the guy that I'm dating. I want us to have the same, religion. I want us to believe the same thing. And I need him to understand that I can't hang out with you Sabbath morning because I am going to church, and that's something you need to understand, or it will never get farther than this. And I'm not saying like I'm going to judge if he's a different denomination as than I am, but it's really hard to keep explaining to somebody that I can't do this because it's the Sabbath, or I can't do this because that's not what I believe in, or I can't eat this because what I believe in goes against that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to Oakwood now, because I was tired of always having to keep explaining, well, I go to church on the Sabbath and we consider Saturday as the Sabbath, and every single day or every single time I went somewhere, or every single time I went to school, I can't come to this practice because it's the Sabbath. I can't come to this football game because it's the Sabbath. Um, I also need him to understand that God will come before him as well. And that, until we get really serious, or, even in the talking stages and everything, my siblings matter. Of course, they matter. My siblings, literally, my brother, people thought he was my kid. He was with me everywhere I went. My siblings are a really big part. They're my heart. And I think one time the boy I met my freshman year in high school was like, "Why do your siblings keep coming in here? Just like tell them to go out. I'm talking to you. Da, 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 da. They're not important." And I was like, "Hold up, they're very important."
Right.
Red flag. You're not. I need him to have patience. I definitely need him to have patience. A man without patience is like a train with no brake. And it's not gonna work out at all. I need him to be honest so then I can trust him. Because if there's no honesty, there's no trust. I'm not gonna believe you when you're like, "Oh, I'm going to hang out with so and so, and I'll text you or call you," but in past times you say you're hanging out with so and then I see you posting that you're at a club and so is nowhere to be seen. Now I'm not gonna believe you. Now you're gone. What else do I need? I need kindness. I need respect. I think those are things that a man really needs, because if he's not kind, it's just not gonna work. Because if you're not kind, then I'm gonna be unkind, and I'm not an unkind person. And then I'm not an unkind person. I'm a very kind and respectful person. I think that's something that people always tell me. Something that people also always tell me is that you're so well spoken. I need a man that's well spoken. I don't want the person that's always texting in these little abbreviations and everything. My mom made sure that when I got a phone, I texted full sentences. You don't see no WYDs in my phone, at least on my side of the messages. I'm always saying, "What you doing?" or "What are you doing?" or "Oh, well was fine." But all these abbreviations, you won't see me texting them. And the abbreviations aren't even just in the phone now. Like, people use those in their daily sentences when they're just talking out loud. And I'll just sit there and be like, "I don't understand what you're saying, but you have a great day." I need him spoken person. To use proper grammar when he's talking. Like, I don't understand the HNs and the LMAOs. I mean, I understand it now, but I didn't understand it when it was first coming out. But those are some of the things I need.
I love it. I like that. She gave a very comprehensive list. Watching and you meet those criteria, you at least got past the first leg of it. Amaris, are there things that you share with someone right off the bat that you're just like, this is what it is, this is what I need? I'm not expecting anything for that.
As we're getting deeper into the talking stage and the idea of putting a label on it, me being boyfriend and girlfriend, kind of comes into the conversation, I immediately say that you're going to have to meet my parents. And I know that a lot of times that's intimidating for the person you're talking to, but I'm like, one, they're not crazy. But they're not gonna be too crazy with you. These are my people. These are the people that at the end of the day, I'm always going to run to my parents. And a lot of times my parents identify the red flags before I do.
Yeah.
And so I want that person that I'm with to understand that when I'm upset, I am going to call my mom and dad. when I need to cry, I'm going to come to my mom and I'm going to cry with her. Like there's stuff that I do with my parents. I think that a recent conversation that I've had with a lot of my friends, 20 and 21 and are nearing their junior year in college, have been talking about moving out. And a lot of my friends have been asking me, are you excited to move out? When are you moving out? And I'm kind of just like, I'm not moving out. If I live with my parents,
Right.
they're here. So I definitely meeting my parents and having an understanding of how important they are to me and that I really like value respect and also just consideration and just in general kindness and consideration. It's kind of a random curveball that I have, but my little brother, as some of you may or may not know, I know you know but Noah has Down syndrome and autism. And because of that, I am very, very protective over him. And I've noticed that a lot of guys, if they like use the R word, and just like talking with their friends or whatever, I've always been like triggered by it. And that's just like one little example that I use is like I don't like people to use like those kind of unkind words and to be like name calling. So even if you're joking, I just like want you to be just a general kind person. And my little brother has to like you. If he doesn't like you, no one likes everyone. I mean, he'll play with the bus driver. He likes everyone, but if he's kind of uncomfortable around you, if you feel like you can't be comfortable around him and you have to treat him like he has Down syndrome and autism, that's not going to work because I feel like my little brother is the perfect example of my little. I feel like I'm his guardian angel. He's my little baby and he's my heart. And if you can't respect the person that I'm gonna ride or die for, then sorry, you're gonna have to move along.
That's the go.
That's
Mhm.
good. All right. Well, I'm not gonna ask all these questions because it's an hour and a half already. But I'm gonna ask this final question. And the question is, how has dating helped you grow as a person? I'm
That's
gonna
good.
start with Amaris and then I'm gonna go to Taylor.
Dating has helped me grow as a person by reminding me of how valuable I am, that I am wanted, and that I am the diamond in the rough. A lot of times when I've tried to talk to someone, they always complimenting me, oh, you articulate yourself so well, you're so intelligent, like you treat me so well as a partner, XYZ. And like I said earlier, when I first started dating, I was immediately giving out the wife treatment to whoever would take it. And dating has taught me that the wife treatment is valuable and it's something that I can't just give to anyone because they will take advantage of it and want to have their cake and eat it too. So I learned that regardless of what I've been through, another person's decision in a relationship does not define me as a partner. And I know who I am. I know that I'm wanted. I know that I'm valuable, and that I need to treat myself as so. I don't need to settle. Never, ever, ever settle because I know who I am. I know the men that I see. I know that there's other men out there. And so I don't need to settle or dumb myself down just to be with someone that, you know, might not even work out with at the end of the day. So that's what I've learned most, to value myself and to not lower my standards or settle.
That's awesome.
All right. Taylor?
I think from my, situationships and past experiences, or even the people around me that I've seen in their relationships, it's taught me that my time is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I am worthy of love, but I also need to remember that I'm beautiful, not just because a guy tells me that, but that I know I'm beautiful, that I know I'm smart, and all these other things that men can say and try to, get into your head and get the green card and green light for them. That I have to remember about myself, because I know I'm pretty, I know I'm smart, I know I'm beautiful and talented. I know those things. Um, I also from other people's experiences that I don't want to get comfortable with somebody just because we're starting to get serious. I don't want to act like we're a married couple
Mm-hmm.
when we've been dating for like a couple months. I don't want that, because then what are we gonna get married for? And I feel like that's why a lot of people end up not getting married, because they have gone to the point where they are too comfortable for anything else. I can say from past experience, I know what I do like, and I know what I do want now. And from all of them, I won't say that they were bad. I would say that they're learning experiences for me to show me what I want and I need from the right person. And it will also show me who the right person is and who the wrong person is up front. And yeah, more closer. It'll help me see it more up front and closer along than further along, like with other guys. Because there's definitely some that I should have dropped at the very beginning that I probably kept on and would let come back, and I shouldn't have done that. And then there's some that like we talk like best friends now, and we probably should have just stayed friends. Probably never should have tried to date or be in a situationship. And so, but I just think overall I don't want to be comfortable, and I know I'm worthy of love and I'm worthy of someone's time, but I also have to tell myself that they might not be worthy of my love and they're not worthy of my time. And this is just something I have to remind myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Amita, did you have any final thoughts before I
I mean, y'all are just some smart young ladies. I love it. I love it. I love it. What you're sharing. Both of you both have shared. It's so critical that you as women, as we as women, know our worth, really know our worth, and know that that's based in God and who He tells us who we are, that we are fearfully, wonderfully made in His image, that He loves us with an everlasting love. Because, we're human. We're born into sin, shaped into iniquity, and even a guy with what he thinks consciously has the best intentions, he's still prone to error. Like he's still going to have flaws. And so you may end up dealing with some rejection, but it's to, like you see, but like you both have been learning, to learn from those situationships, those mistakes, and to not let it break you into the point where you believe the lie that you're not worthy, that you believe the lie that I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough, my boobs aren't big enough, I don't have the best BBL. Because we live in a perfection deception society where girls have their filters all on Instagram, and unfortunately, when I was growing up, people had to sneak and pay to watch pornographic stuff, and now they just freely swipe left and stripe is scrolling. And so unfortunately you're having all those things to compete with. But valuing yourselves, knowing that you are loved and that you have people, not just your parents, you have aunties and uncles and friends who love you for who you are, and keep doing that. The person who you're going to date is going to like and then love you for who you are. You should not have to change who you are. That doesn't mean as you're getting further along in a relationship, some things you compromise on, meaning, okay, I didn't want to go to movies. He wants to go to movies, but you don't. Like those little things. But I'm talking about your core beliefs, your core values. Spend time now learning yourselves, learning what your non-negotiables are. The Bible even tells us to write the vision and make the plan. Even write it out. Write out what things you will hope to see when you're dating somebody, what you want to see in dating, what you want to see in your husband. Lorraine and I both can tell you sometimes the list changes as you date more. You may go, oh, I thought this is a top thing. You'd be like, I don't even like that no more. Like for me, you had to be bow-legged. That's not even a thing. Okay. So, that got cut off.
I still like that though. But
yeah. So
it's not a major. It's not a major. But
it's not a major. So
it's still nice though.
Yeah. But start writing out things, because as you both are in school, and we commend y'all for that. Keep putting that effort in while your brains are fresher, and you can still learn and do things more. But write out these things, have the conversations. You have a village that we're all here for y'all to answer questions, to be a sounding board, to be a judgment-free sounding board, because we'd rather y'all come to us and ask us then feel like you don't have anywhere to go and just out there aimlessly messing up. And the reality is it will affect your esteem. The more you give yourself to people, especially people who are unworthy of it, it does affect who you are and what you believe about yourself. And so continue to put God first. God is a non-negotiable. You should never have to deny what you believe to date somebody. They're coming at you with that, goodbye. And like Lorraine said, you don't even owe them you don't owe them the call or text to say I'm done, block, unfollow, whatever. You don't owe them that. So know what your non-negotiables are. Stand firm on your beliefs and your values. And put your trust in your heart in God. My older lady in church, I call her one of my, used to tell me a woman's heart should be so buried so deep in God that a man has to seek God to find it. When you are seeking God, when your relationship, you're that connected to him, you will have the Holy Spirit discernment and be able to know earlier on too, God, is this a person I should even be a friend with? Not even just date. It's somebody I should even be a friend with, because our friendships do affect us too, what we think and believe about ourselves as well. So we're so grateful again to have y'all both on here. I've learned some things from y'all. I hope you're able to learn some things from us. Keep tuning in. Get all your friends to like, subscribe, and follow.
Absolutely. And I do want to say thank you to you all for being here, for even, altering the schedule just so we can get it on, because I didn't want to put this off. And I'm totally glad that we didn't put this off, because I think it's so important. I guess the things I could say a lot, but I think the things that I want to just highlight, and I think Onetia touched on them too, is it's accountability. So often we date in a vacuum, in isolation. No one gets to say anything. And obviously your parents are important, and you all seem to be including them, but I say include them early. Include your friends early. Include your relatives early, the people that you trust, because that'll save you a multitude of heartaches, because they'll be able to see things that you can't see. And I think that's just the way it's supposed to be. It's not, when Abraham wanted a wife for Isaac, he didn't send Isaac to go looking for a wife. He sent his servant. And the servant prayed, God, send this kind of person. Obviously, things are different, though if somebody wants to arrange a marriage for me, I'm not mad at you. But I'm saying, girlfriend tired. But I got jokes, y'all. But accountability is important. And bringing that person, having conversations with the people that you trust, the people who know you. And that's, we build that into our coaching program. You find someone we call a Wizerr woman to live, love, and marry wisely together. Wizerr woman that helps you to see 360, because we see 180 when we're dating. The second thing is there's this quote there's a post coming out that I put that says, many relationships die from the conversations that were never had. And have the conversations. Don't be afraid, because when you're dating, you're not just getting data. You're setting a standard of how your relationship is going to be if you end up getting married.
Yeah.
So have the hard conversations at the beginning, so you don't have to have that many hard conversations later.
Yes.
A lot of marriages struggle because they didn't have the hard conversations. And one of the hard conversations is, we're not really a right fit for each other, even though we love each other. But there are so many hard conversations that are just about working through and understanding our differences, and how do we compromise, and how do we navigate, and how do we negotiate. And those conversations aren't had. And then suddenly, that's a red flag, and that's a red flag, when it was really something that we just didn't talk about. And I guess I'll amend, not amend, but I want to make an amendment to, or an addendum to my, you don't have to say goodbye kind of thing. I was in a situation where it would have been dangerous for me. And I didn't have any invested heart in this. I'm not saying that if you're engaged to someone, just walk away and be like, oh, I'm done. Lorraine told me I didn't have to say, like, you want to be, because men have feelings as well. They are human. And if you want to read that book for women only, you really should read that right now as a young woman.
Yes.
But give the respect due that even if you are ending a relationship, give them the respect to communicate that. It doesn't have to be in person. It don't have to be on a date. It don't have to be all deep. You can call them. I wouldn't text because I just think, you don't text somebody that. But I know texting is a different thing right now. So if you choose to do that, that's on you. But I'm just saying, if you're in a dangerous situation and situations like that, or it's not even a real thing, block them and keep it moving. But if we really have an invested relationship but you see that this is really not the right thing, then do have that communication. Thank you all so much. You all were amazing in this conversation.
Yes.
Literally, I almost feel like we need to do 2 parts, and so that people can really, because it's a lot, really absorb it all. But I really, I could talk to you all for probably a good another couple hours if I wasn't so hungry. Because, but and I'm supposed to be on a Zoom at 7:30, but I was just like, I'm gonna be late. But thank you all. I love you all. I think you all are beautiful, and I know that God has just invested you with your parents who gave you good stuff. But a lot of people have good parents who give them good information, and they don't actually apply that information. And so the fact that you all have taken that wisdom and said, hey, I'm going to live my life by this wisdom and principles and save myself a lot of hurt, or even if you've experienced hurt and you're just like, I got wisdom from that, praise the Lord. There's people who are way, way older than you, old enough to be your parents, and they have still not gotten the wisdom from all of the situations that they've been in. So thank you. God bless you. You all are beautiful. And I thank you so much for taking your time to join us.
Thank you.
And until next time,
Yes.
make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser. God bless.
Bye.
Bye.
Yay!
Yes. That was a marathon, but it was fantastic. Was that not a fantastic conversation? Hit me up in the chat if you love that conversation. We were very excited to have them on, and they really gave some really profound answers. And I just love it. I think that we sometimes think that we as older people are doing all the teaching, but I think that we can learn a lot from that generation. And so I definitely want to say thank you, Taylor. I know she's in the chat, and then Amaris is in school, but hopefully she'll watch, and that we really appreciate that. So
yes,
if you got something out of that, let us know. I just want to wrap up here with Isaiah 26:3. You will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. And we just want to make sure that as you're learning and growing, if you're a young person, or even if you're not a young person and you're not married and you're looking for that, keep your eyes on Christ. Keep your focus on him, and let him direct your paths so that you can have perfect peace. Because relationships are hard in a sinful world. They're beautiful. God created marriage. And, for those who want to be married, then that's something definitely to pray for and pursue. But if we keep our mind on him, then he will direct us as we journey down that path. We thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you, Taylor. And until next time, make choices that will help you live, love, and marry wiser. God bless you. Bye, Onetia.
bless this.